It's already hard enough to avoid 100% of mainstream plastic, let alone all of these hidden plastic items. Now, I'm not making this post to scare anybody about trying to avoid 100% of plastic or to be scared of plastic. This is just simply educational and mostly just to prove the point that even no matter how perfect somebody looks online, no matter how perfect you try in your real life, you still cannot avoid 100% of plastic. Of course, the real issue here is single use. In general, single-use paper, glass, and metal are maybe not just as bad as plastic, but they're not that great either. All single use is a problem. Single-use plastic is the problem. If you have a piece of plastic that you use regularly, daily, like my glasses for example, that's really not that big of a deal, especially if they're recycled. This is just simply the system that we're born into, and we have to work with what we've got. Of course, do your best, find alternatives that suit you if you want to, but you don't have to find alternatives for any of these if you can't. And really don't stress these very uncommon, rarely used items. Instead, focus on those items that you use daily, like plastic water bottles, plastic containers of hummus, and things of that nature. Hello everyone, it's Emma, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all sorts of things zero waste, focusing on free, easy, and fun ways to live low waste. If I talk a little bit too fast for you, you can change the speed of the video with the gear icon right down here. Before we get too far into it, let it be known that not all of these are going to be traditional plastic in the way that we think of plastic, like a plastic water bottle. Some of these are going to be plastic-like, plasticizers, polymers, or simply just derived from oil byproducts. What this means is when anything is derived from an oil byproduct, it is pollutive to create, whether it's a traditional plastic like a water bottle or something else. This also means that they cannot break down fully. So I just wanted to clarify that, and this is part 2. So if you want to watch part 1 after this, you can check it out above and below. Let's get right into it. Our first one is crayons. And this is one of those untraditional ones because if you think crayons, you probably think of wax, and you would be correct, but the wax is paraffin wax. Paraffin wax is derived from petroleum. Paraffin wax is a soft, colorless solid derived from petroleum, coal, or oil shale. So these crayons that you or your children play with are derived from fossil fuels. Now, when we're talking about paraffin wax, the real issue comes with burning them, as we will talk about in a moment. But when you're using paraffin wax for things like crayons, it really doesn't pose that much of a risk. But if you want to go petroleum free, here are a few options that I found on Earth Hero that are 100% made from beeswax. But speaking of paraffin wax, number 2 is candles. Many of our candles are made with it, and is this a problem? It really comes down to frequency. If you are burning several candles per day and you're sitting very, very close to this candle while it burns, it could pose some health risks to you. But if you burn candles occasionally, like for special occasions, on a birthday cake, or in emergencies like when the power gets shut off, you should be fine. But I still highly encourage you to opt for a natural, plant-based, or beeswax derived candle, simply to fully eliminate any health risks, as well as they're better for the planet. I would suggest using what you have first and then opting for some new candles when the time comes. Most often they're going to be made out of beeswax, coconut wax, or soy wax. My favorite brand here is Everly because they are made from soy and coconut wax, making them fully plant-based and vegan as well, and they are refills. So if you have, this is a mug, but pretend this is just like an old candle jar. You could take an old candle jar that you already have at home and refill it with a refill kit, so that way you don't have to buy a new vessel every time that you buy a new candle as well. Another alternative that I love is here locally in Northern California, we have a lot of beekeepers that not only make honey, but make their own wax and therefore make their own candles. So it's really easy to source 100% beeswax candles locally for me, so that's another option that you can look into as well. In part 1, we talked about how much of our clothing is made out of polyester, but so are our shoes. Since plastic/polyester is the cheapest material, it is the most common for manufacturers to use in making just about all of our items. And that includes basically all parts of our shoes, the foamy soles, fabric tops, eyelets, aglets, and more. Does anybody else only know what an aglet is because of Phineas and Ferb? Some good news here though is that shoe recycling is becoming more and more popular. It's still not mainstream, but plenty of shoe retailers offer the recycling or other special programs. For example, I recently recycled my old Crocs right here. It was so easy to go onto Crocs website, order a free take-back bag, and then send it to them for free, already paid. Now, when you're opting for new shoes, you kind of have 2 routes to go here. You can go the secondhand route, which means that it still might be made out of plastic and it still might break down into microplastics over time, but you're not contributing to that plastic creation because you bought it secondhand. Or you can buy a natural shoe made of stuff like wool or hemp or cork or any other sort of natural materials. If you're looking for a shoe made out of natural materials, I am a big fan of Allbirds. They are made from wool and recycled plastic. Not all clay is plastic based, but polymer clay is 100% plastic. Or rather, it's 100% oil derived. It's usually made from PVC, polyvinyl chloride, or other plasticizers. This is another one that isn't technically plastic in the way that we think of plastic, but it is made from the same stuff and pollutes in the same way. So if you want to use clay to make a project, to do a craft, opt for any sort of natural clay. It should say on the packaging natural clay instead of polymer clay. One that was really disappointing to me as an outdoorsy person is Right in the Rain paper. Not all of it. The regular Right in the Rain paper they claim is 100% paper, but their Duracopy paper is what's made out of plastic. If you don't know what this paper is, it's essentially waterproof paper. So if you do field work outside, if you're a hiker, if you are an artist that works outside, anything that you do outside with paper, it's totally waterproof. The Right in the Rain paper is 100% paper, but it's covered with like a waterproofing layer. But their website does not detail what this layer is. Is it wax? Is it plant-based? Is it plastic? They don't say, but what they do say is that it is just as recyclable as office paper. But again, I'm not sure how. I couldn't find any information no matter how hard I Googled. So if anybody has information on Right in the Rain paper, please let me know. But it's a little sus to me, not gonna lie. Now their Duracopy paper is like extra weatherproof. It is made from 100% plastic. They once again claim that this is fully recyclable, though I'm not sure why. I personally would rather not risk it. By recycling this Duracopy paper, I'm just gonna throw it away and also just consume much less of it in the future moving forward. This is going to be a very rarely used item for me. Truly gonna save it for a rainy day. This is probably the most shocking one I have ever heard of, and probably you as well. Shopping at a bulk store is not plastic free. But how? Really, it depends on the bulk store. Not all of them are going to use plastic to get their refills, but plenty of them do. Generally speaking, bulk items arrive to the bulk store in large plastic bags that are shipped inside of cardboard shipping boxes. This protects it from dirt, debris, water, and damage, which is of course very important. And if it's a liquid, shampoo, sunscreen, lotion, it's probably going to come in a reusable 5-gallon bucket, still made out of plastic, but it is reusable, of course. Something to note here, this is not to say don't bulk shop because it contains plastic. This is simply saying that it's still a better option. Even though there is some plastic involved, it's still a great reduction in plastic. For example, let's just say it arrives in a 20-pound box, this 20-pound bag of almonds. If you wanted to buy all 20 pounds of those at the bulk store, you would only be consuming that one giant plastic bag. But on the other hand, if you were to go to Walmart or Kroger, any grocery store, and you wanted to buy 20 pounds of almonds, you'd probably be buying 21-pound bags of almonds, therefore increasing your plastic consumption 20 times. And once again, not every single bulk store is going to get their stuff delivered to them in plastic. For example, Plain Products, they sell their stuff at bulk stores in glass refill bottles. But generally speaking, plenty of bulk stores do use a little bit of plastic behind the scenes. So even if you shop at a bulk store, you're still not plastic free. And that's okay, right? I'm not trying to slander anybody, it's okay. Another paper item that contains hidden plastic is photo paper. This might not come as a surprise because it's shiny, it's slippery, it kind of feels like plastic, right? But most photo paper contains some amount of plastic. Usually it's all made with tree-based paper on the inside and then coated with a polyethylene resin layer or a polyester support sheet. Both of these are very common types of plastic that we use daily. If you want to print photos, fine. It's not single use and therefore it's not the worst thing that you can do for the planet. But I do urge you to think before you print. Do you need to print every single one of those photos, or can you pick and choose the best ones to print? Or perhaps you could make a digital photo album instead. There are several options here when it comes to reducing your footprint for printing photos. You're not going to see these so much anymore, but exfoliating beads, in face wash for like exfoliating any of your skin, those are 100% plastic. Thankfully, President Obama did ban these, so you probably haven't seen them much anymore, but growing up, they were everywhere. In the early 2000s, I swear they were in every single product. And all of those little beads are out in the environment somewhere, in our lakes and our oceans and our soil, polluting the planet. So thank goodness they are banned. But if you have an old bottle of something in your bathroom closet, if you buy something from a different country, you still might see these on occasion. So please avoid these and instead opt for something natural such as a sugar scrub, a coffee scrub. Earth Hero also has a natural exfoliant made from walnut, which is really, really cool. Or you could just simply use a natural pumice stone or a loofah to exfoliate your skin. Unless you're specifically seeking out 100% natural glue made from 100% animal parts, which is definitely not vegan, your glue contains plastic. All mainstream glue is pretty much at least partially plastic. White glue that I'm mostly thinking of here, like Elmer's glue, is made from polyvinyl acetate, polyvinyl alcohol, PVA, as we know from laundry sheets in part 1, or propylene glycol. Of course, it's packaged in plastic too. Like, even if it was fully natural, it's still gonna come in a plastic jug. But other glues too. Hot glue is made from EVA, ethylene vinyl acetate, APAO, amorphous polyalpha olefin, and PA, polyamides. Superglue is made from cyanoacrylate and acrylic resin, and glue sticks are made from acrylic polymers, and so forth. I still use hot glue. I use it for plenty of crafts. I use super glue. I use super glue to repair stuff, to keep it from the landfill, so I kind of see super glue as like a neutral item personally. So I'm not gonna give up glue, but if you want to, go for it. Next is contacts. See what I mean when plastic is everywhere? Was that the worst dad joke ever known to mankind? Possibly. So soft contacts are made from hydrogels. They are hydrophilic plastics. Hydrophilic literally means water-loving. So you're putting plastic onto your eyes in order to see. Of course, I'm not saying give these up. If these are the only way that you can see, you gotta do what you gotta do. But I would consider switching to glasses if you can. Yes, glasses like mine are made out of plastic. I'm not trying to hide that fact. If I were to use one pair of glasses for 2 years or more, if my vision doesn't change, that's only one piece of plastic, as opposed to using contacts, which, depending on which brand and which style you get, some of them are only one use. Some of them you can use 1 set per month. That's still minimum 24 sets of contacts over the same period as glasses, and glasses can be recycled. So like even if you use plastic glasses, it's still significantly better for the environment than contacts. But there are cases where, you know, contacts might be the only thing that works for you and your body or your job. Dan used to work on a flight line when we were in the military, and he was not allowed to wear glasses on the flight line because they could produce FOD. What does that mean? Foreign object debris? It might get sucked into a jet and crash. He literally, like legally, had to wear contacts. You gotta do what you gotta do. Bad news again for the zero wasters. Even your bamboo toothbrushes likely contain plastic bristles. Not always. There are natural ones made out of natural fibers like bamboo or boar's fur. I don't think that's quite as common as bamboo, but like it's a natural option. But generally speaking, plastic is the most used option, even on bamboo toothbrushes and of course on your plastic toothbrushes. So this is just truly proof that even the most perfect zero wasters still can't avoid plastic. What you do here is you either like saw off the head or you pluck out the bristles. Both are very tedious if you want to compost them, or my personal favorite is to just find other ways to use those toothbrushes when they're done being used in the bathroom, such as using them to clean grout and tile, using them for crafts, using them as a tiny kitchen brush for cleaning dishes, and so forth. Another one that was extremely shocking to me is metal bottle caps. When I'm, you know, at a gas station or whatever on a road trip and I'm looking for the most eco-friendly beverage, I typically go for a glass bottle. Some of these do have plastic lids, so still not avoiding plastic there, but even when I choose a glass bottle with a metal bottle cap, there's still plastic in there. Back in the day, they were originally made with aluminum and cork, but in the 1960s, they switched to plastic, likely due to cost. It's also much more widely available than cork, and it's typically polyethylene or plastisol. As always, check your local recycling rules before recycling bottle caps. Even if they are recyclable, despite being a mixed material, plastic and metal, typically mixed materials are not recyclable, they still might not be accepted for recycling due to their size. Small pieces like that generally are not accepted. Another swap that I'm sure many people do is opt for a paper coffee cup or a paper takeout container, because it's paper, right? Yes, on the outside, but the inside is lined with plastic. I mean, think about it. This is wrapping paper, but you get the idea. If I had paper and I formed it into a cup and I poured my coffee into it, what would happen? It would probably dissolve all over the place and make a giant mess. So in order to keep that plastic inside of that paper cup, it does have to be lined with plastic. Some of them are bioplastic and therefore compostable, but that's pretty rare. And unfortunately, this usually renders them non-recyclable because once again, mixed materials are rarely recycled, so check your local rules before recycling. Similar to that is coffee filters. Now, coffee filters are generally 100% paper with the exception of some sort of plastic glue or binder. So this is not the end of the world, and I couldn't find any evidence that this poses any health risks, but it does render them non-compostable. So if you're putting your entire coffee filter into your compost, it will either only partially break down and you can like pull the plastic pieces out later, or it will break down so small, those microplastics, and now you have microplastics in your compost that you can't even see. So what you can do is dump the coffee grounds into your compost and throw away the coffee filter. Better yet, opt for a 100% reusable coffee filter, such as these cotton socks from Earth Hero, a metal basket, a metal K-cup, or go entirely filter free and try a French press or a mocha pot. Or hop on the train like me and get an espresso maker. I just got an espresso maker last night, and this is my first latte. Totally plastic free. Well, except for the milk. Honestly, if somebody has an entirely plastic-free coffee routine, I would love to see it. The agave I did get in bulk, the coffee I got in bulk, and there's no filter. But like the milk and the vanilla, they came with plastic. All right, moving on to colored pencils and regular pencils. You're probably thinking like me, what do you mean these contain plastic? So regular pencils are made out of graphite, and colored pencils, I'm actually not sure what they're made out of. But regardless, the graphite or the colored pencil material in the inside of the pencil is usually mixed with plastic to help it last longer. I think that's kind of cool that they use it to make it last longer, because if your pencil broke all the time, it's not really sustainable if you have to replace your pencil, you know, every day or something. But truly just proves that big oil is meddling everywhere, even where you least expect it. So use what you have, but when you're trying to find something new, opt for something eco-friendly. There are several options on Earth Hero made from recycled newspaper, pencils that have seeds in the bottom that you can plant, or made with 100% graphite, no plastic. I'm not sure if this next one is surprising, but that is face masks for like beauty, like when you put on a face mask at night for your skin. Similarly to like a coffee cup being made out of paper, if one of these face masks was made out of paper or cotton, I mean maybe not cotton, but paper would totally dissolve. I think there are 100% natural options such as cotton, but it's still single use and disposable. So if you don't want to give them up completely, opt for a 100% natural one, because typically speaking, any face masks that are marketed as microfiber are usually comprised of polyester, polyamide, acrylic, modal, lyocell, or viscose. Others are made from rayon, hydrogel, and other synthetics. Even some face masks that are marketed as bio-based, you know, made from bioplastic or cotton or what have you, natural material, still contain some amount of plastic. So use them mindfully, you don't have to give them up completely, and don't forget to put them in the trash. Do not recycle these. I hope that this doesn't come as a surprise, but stickers are made out of plastic. Whether you receive merch from a brand, a star at the top of your math test, or you buy an orange at the grocery store, it is almost always made out of plastic. I still use them on my water bottle. I think they are fun. I think they're fun ways to express myself and my beliefs, especially like this one's from a small business. This one's from a small business. This one I got free at school. This one I got free from volunteering. These ones I got from Patagonia's annual fundraiser. These two I got just to simply express my beliefs and views. I just use them mindfully. I'm not going to buy every single sticker that I love. And when I'm done with them, you know, if I don't have room for this one anymore, but I still want to keep it and memorialize it, I'll take it off. I'll put it in a junk journal. I'm not gonna throw it away. Moving on to clothing tags. No, not the little part with the brand name and the price on it. That is typically made out of paper, which is great. But the part that attaches the tag to your clothing is almost always going to be plastic, especially if you're shopping at big name stores, even thrift stores like Goodwill and the Salvation Army, other big stores, Shein, H&M, American Eagle, etc. I almost said Aeropostale. Does Aeropostale still exist? This just shows you how often I go into malls. So even when shopping secondhand, like even doing a sustainable act, there's still gonna be plastic involved in the form of the receipt as well and the clothing tag. Thankfully, a lot of sustainable brands are opting for things like natural cotton strings to attach with a safety pin, a metal safety pin that can be easily reused. There's another perk to shopping sustainably, but it's not very common. So this is totally unavoidable. Do what you can. And lastly, metallic packaging. Even though it's shiny and it looks like metal, it might not always be. This video right here deems what I call the crumple test, which I use for wrapping paper. But the same thing applies to metal packaging. If you take a piece of metallic packaging and you crumple it into a ball and it holds its shape, it's metal. But if you crumple something metallic into a ball and when you release your hand, it pops open back to its original shape, it's probably plastic. When in doubt, call your recycling center for advice on if you can recycle this packaging or not. That concludes part 2 of hidden plastic in our everyday lives, further proving that you cannot avoid every single piece of plastic, no matter how hard you try to be zero waste. Even if you shop secondhand, even if you shop at the bulk store, there's still going to be plastic involved because that's just how our world works. Big oil is involved everywhere because yes, plastic is made from oil. You can check it out up here. And that's kind of why plastic is so popular, because big oil wants to keep making money and keep putting their little hands in every single pocket they can find. This is simply just educational. I hope that nobody fears plastic. I hope nobody fears these items now. But there are some items on this list that are very easy swaps, like swapping for a natural candle, swapping for natural crayons and colored pencils. In the future, do those if you want to, but you don't have to either. Coming up next, we have another video in my very favorite series, zero waste swaps and how much money they can save you. I think it's part 4. For now, you can check out parts 1 through 3 above and below, but I'll see you in the next video. Until then, remember that your small actions make a big difference in the long run. Bye guys. That are totally plant-based. Nope. There's some good news here. Shoe recycling is becoming. I've been listening to too much Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes music. Where was I? Totally derailed me. Some good news though. Some good news. Can I get through this sentence? Put an ad there. Don't forget. It's so dark today. What a bad day to film. That's